Hey, it's Vicky, and I'm here to do another reading vlog for you guys. This time around, I'm focusing on Series September, which is a month-long readathon. It takes place the entire month of September, where you are supposed to read books that are part of a series. So you could start a series, finish a series, get caught up on a series, whatever you want to do. And so I did a vlog like this last year in September and definitely decided I wanted to do it again. But when I was pulling together my TBR, I kind of saw like an interesting trend in my series that I have. I do keep track of my series in my planner. I write them all down and how many books are in the series and like where I'm at. So then I noticed that I do have quite a few books on my TBR, on my tracker here. I don't necessarily own all these books, that if I read them, I would either be caught up in the series or I would be completing the series. And that got me thinking that maybe that should be my focus for this vlog, is to read books in a series that is going to help me complete the series. So, got a couple options here. The first one that I think I need to do, because I read the second book in this series last year during Series September. And look at me, haven't gotten around to the third book, but it's The Toll by Neal Shusterman. This is the Arc of Scythe series. Now, technically, there is a fourth book to this series now, but the fourth book, I feel, it's a short story collection, and all the stories take place in this world. Whereas I don't think it's a continuation of the three books. So I'm gonna call it that if I read this book, I have completed the trilogy. And then if I wanna pick up Gleanings, which is the short story collection, I can pick that up and it's kind of a separate deal. That's the way I'm looking at it. So I really wanna read this one during this vlog, if I can. It is quite long, and I'm already reading so many chunky books this month. I don't know what's going on with me, why I want to read so many chunky books in September, but this book is like 625 pages. So I do want to try to wrap this up though. And then the other one, this is a book series that I started as a read aloud, and I have read aloud the first 5 books in this series with my daughter. But I feel that she has lost interest in this series, because I have tried to read this one aloud to her a couple of times, I think twice, and she was just not in the mood. She didn't really want to do it. So I feel like this is safe for me to go ahead and read the final book, which is the 6th book in this series, and complete the series, because I want to. I want to know what happens. And it's the Warriors series. You know, the series about feral cats that I was surprisingly invested in as I was reading it with Leia. I would not have thought in a million years that I would get so invested in a series about cats, but this is a good series, you guys. And so this is the last book, and there are tons of other series in the Warriors sort of universe. This is the very first one though. The very first series is 6 books, and the series is called, I think, The Prophecies Begin. And so this book is called The Darkest Hour, and this is where we're gonna, the first series is gonna wrap up, and I gotta know what's gonna happen. So I think I'm gonna read this one during this vlog as well, because I just need to know what's gonna happen. So then some other options that I have for this vlog, when I'm looking at my tracker, there is the Track series by Jason Reynolds. There is one more book in the series. It's the 4th book. It's called Lou. I don't own the book, but I definitely would go and pick it up and read it this week, because that would be amazing if I could finish up that series. And I obviously want to own it because I own all 3 of the other books. And that would be cool to wrap up that series as well, but I would have to go to the bookstore and pick it up, which isn't a bad thing to go to the bookstore. Another one that I don't own, but I wouldn't mind picking up is, I don't know what it's a duology, and I don't know what it's called. The first book is called Tiny Pretty Things. I can't remember the author. I think it's 2 authors. I'll put the picture here, because I do own the first book. And it's basically about the sort of dark, seedy side of ballet life It centers around a group of teenagers that attend a ballet school, and there's lots of drama because it's like all about, you know, they're super ambitious and they're backstabbing each other and all this stuff. And the first book, if I remember right, ended on a super huge cliffhanger. And the second book picks up right where the first book left off. So I think that could be a fun one to read during this vlog too. It's a possibility. I would have to go pick it up though. And then another one is another duology, which I don't know, again, I don't know what this duology is called, but it's Marissa Meyer's book Gilded, and then the sequel to that is called Cursed. It's a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. I read it last year around this time in like October, I think, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Again, the way that one ended, I was like, I have to read the second book. But again, that book, if I remember right, it's very chunky. It's at least 500 pages. So I don't know if that one's gonna happen during this vlog. And I think that is all. So I have The Darkest Hour, I have The Toll, I have Lou, the fourth book in the track series. I have possibilities of the second book in Tiny Pretty Things, which I think is called Shiny Broken Pieces. And then also, we have Cursed by Marissa Meyer, which would wrap up the Gilded duology. And I think that's everything. So I need to get cracking. I don't know what I'm gonna do first, probably because I'm ready to start reading now. It's probably gonna be one of these. I'm thinking whichever one I can find on audio, maybe through my library, or Scribd, I will do that. So, because I am trying to wrap up a couple other books that have nothing to do with Series September that I need to wrap up as well before I really dive into the series books. So yeah, I will let you guys know when I figure out which of these two I'm gonna start with, and I'll let you guys know how it's going. So I did end up going to my local Barnes & Noble and did a bit of browsing, and I did pick up Lou by Jason Reynolds, so I'm gonna be able to knock this out this week. I'm so excited. This is a series that I have really enjoyed, so I'm excited to see how it's all gonna wrap up. I had hoped to also pick up Shiny Broken Pieces, which is this like second book in the duology of I think it's just called Tiny Pretty Things, which is the name of the first book. I think that's sort of the duology anyways. They didn't have it in stock, so I think I'm still gonna go ahead and start it on audio because the audiobook is available on Scribd. So I'm still gonna hopefully knock it out this week. I just will have to get a physical copy at a later date. I'm probably gonna order it, but I don't think I'll get it in time to like physically read it this week. So it's all good though. And then I also got another book that I can't tell you about because it's for the last installment for this year anyway, for the 100 Epic Reads series that I'm doing. So that video will be coming, I think, in November. So I got the book. I'm ready to rock and roll on that one. And then in the meantime, I also started reading The Darkest Hour. I'm almost to the halfway point. And this book is just hitting me with the emotions. I can't really say very much about what's going on with the plot because it would be so spoilery because it's the 6th and final book in a series. So what I will say though is there were some sort of mystery. There was a specific sort of mystery throughout this series that, as the reader, because the book is told from just one cat's perspective, you never really knew the details of that specific mystery. I'm trying to be vague because he had never experienced that himself, and now he has. And so like there was this sort of vagueness to this one part of this whole like Warriors universe, specifically one of the clans, because technically there are 5 clans, 5 or 6 clans. And one of them, there's sort of a lot of mystery surrounding it, and you got a little bit more, like just a little taste of what that clan is more about in this book. So that was really cool. I really loved that whole chapter. And then just like all the other books, there is some backstabbing. And like I think I've mentioned before with this series, is there's parts of it that feel very Shakespearean in terms of when you're talking about loyalties, because it is all about, you know, hierarchies, and obviously in those sorts of situations, there's always traitors, right? And this book already, there's been something that just happened where I was like, oh, and I was like getting mad about it, which is just funny to me because, you know, it's a story about cats, but I am super emotionally invested. And then like just what's been going on with our main character, I have just loved his journey in this series. I think it's been fantastic. So I am enjoying this a lot. And then it was funny because when I was at the bookstore, when I was looking for Lou, so I was in like the kids section of Barnes & Noble, I just looked and there was two, I think I only filmed one, but there were two entire shelves, maybe even three entire shelves of Warriors books, because there are so many now. There have been so many different series and whatnot, and it's crazy how many books there are. So we'll see. I don't know if I will continue the very many series that are in this whole book series, but I don't know. This one so far is totally delivering and I'm loving it. So I finished The Darkest Hour, and you guys, this series is so good. And it's so funny for me to say because it's, like I've said a million times, it's a series about feral cats that live in the forest. It sounds sort of silly, but let me tell you, you will get sucked into this. You will. Like I did. This particular book, though, I'm going to give it a 4.25. It was a great way to end the series. The way certain things kind of came full circle. I loved, well, I don't know. I don't even know what to call him. Let's just call him by what his name was at the very beginning of the series, because in this sort of universe, as the cats sort of move around in the ranks, their names change. So at the very beginning of this series, our main character's name was Rusty. So that's what I'm going to call him. I loved his story arc and his journey throughout these 6 books. It was so good. And there were just so many things about this book that I loved. Had some amazing action scenes, battle scenes. I felt like it was action from pretty much start to finish. So it was very entertaining in that regard. But the reason I like kind of docked my rating a little bit was because there was a part of the plot in here that, for me, I was a little bit disappointed by, because having read all of the other books, and this is the last book, there was definitely sort of this long-standing, we'll call it a feud, between two characters, that by this book I was like, all right, it's going to be like a final showdown. It's going to happen. You know what I mean? I've been waiting 6 books for this to happen, but it was not what I was expecting. And so I was a little bit disappointed by it, though it was almost like a big like plot twist. So I thought it was kind of cool that it went the way it went instead of the way I was expecting it to go for 6 books. But I also was like a little disappointed by it, if that makes any sense. I'm trying to be non-spoilery here. All in all, though, this was a great series. And I actually got on the website for the Warrior books to kind of see what's next. And I am overwhelmed. There are so many books. And I knew that. Even at the bookstore, like I said, there was like a couple of shelves that were just full of these books. But I'm just like, do I want to keep going? Should I keep going? I kind of want to keep going, but I don't know. So I'll have to think about it, and definitely I will not be purchasing all of those books. If I continue, I'll just utilize my library, because it's a lot. It's a lot. And there's like, because there's like different series, and each series has 6 books in it. I think there's like 8 of those. And then there's like standalone books. There's, they call them like super editions or something. There's graphic novels. I mean, field guides. Like, it's crazy. This whole universe is so crazy. So anyway, highly recommend this. Even if you think you won't like it, even if you don't like cats, give it a try. Just give it a try for me, okay? And then I also started Lou. I am 55 pages in, and I am really enjoying this one. For me, the first book in the series was a 5-star book. I absolutely loved it. And then they sort of progressively went down in rating for me, where like book 3, Sunny, was a 3-star. This one already is better. Lou is, he's a really funny character because he is, he's good at track, but he also has a couple of hang-ups. He has a little bit of, he is a very confident, overconfident, almost kind of like braggy type of kid. But then he also has like insecurities, and there are things about even his track, skills that he has some confidence issues on. And so some of those moments have been my favorite. Some moments between him and his coach. Learning about overcoming those insecurities and those challenges, and I'm loving this. This is great. So I feel like this book is, like I said, better than the last, and I feel like this series is also going to end on a great note. So we shall see. And then I'm hoping to start, what is it called? I keep forgetting. Shiny Broken Pieces. I hope to start that one on audio. I probably won't start it tonight, maybe tomorrow. And I feel like that one's going to be like really like unput-downable. If it's anything like the first book, that book was like popcorn. I couldn't stop. And so I'm hoping that the second book is the same, and that I will get through it pretty quickly, and then we'll have to see. I don't know if I'll have time to squeeze one more book in. We'll see how Lou goes. But yeah, so far my series, September, my focus on wrapping up series is going really well. So I have had quite the busy day. I had some errands to run because Austin and I are celebrating our anniversary this weekend. It is on Saturday, and I always, like, every year since year 1, I always do like the traditional wedding gift for like anniversaries, or traditional gift for anniversaries. So like paper, I'm trying to think what some of the examples have been, like paper, flowers, candy, like whatever. And this year for 12, it's linen or silk. And so I thought I would get us some new linens for our bed, because we actually are in need of a new sheet set. And then I want to kind of spruce it up a little bit, get some different, like a different throw blanket, throw pillows and stuff. So I was outside doing that. I was doing that this morning, and then Austin and I met up for a little lunch date because the kids' school is having a fundraiser at this particular like local restaurant where if you go there and you just like say the name of their school, a proceed or some of the like a percentage of your bill will be donated to the school. So we went and did that for lunch and it was really good. It was like a Mexican place and the food was yummy. And then I went to the library because I had a couple holds to pick up. So 2 anticipated releases for me, Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo and Rouge by Mona Awad, oh my gosh. They came in, and then while I was there, I was just kind of browsing, and I came across Monstrilio by Gerardo Samano Cordova. And this is, I think, I want to say it's literally Dead Book Club's pick for, was it September or is it for October? Anyways, I've seen this, and I kind of like blew it off, but then when I read the synopsis, I was like, actually, that sounds really good, really good. So I got this too. So that is basically what this means right here, is that the rest of my September TBR is completely just being obliterated. And I don't know how I'm gonna do it because these Family Lore and this one, I can just keep checking out until somebody wants it. But this one, I only get it for 2 weeks. So I have to read this one right away. So yes, so I went to the library. But anyway, it's been a busy day. But I did wanted to update that I finished Lou, and I gave this book 4 stars. I think that for being the final book in the track series, it was a really good final book. And overall, just as the series in general, I think it's just a really good series about and every book in the series touched on this, how even though you have your own like individual things going on in your life, and you see that with each kid in this series that is featured, that, you know, they have their own stuff going on with their home life, and some of it is difficult stuff that you still, when you're on a team, you still come together and you have that commonality, that camaraderie, and that support system, which is really important. And one of the aspects of being on a team that is probably one of the most important is that you come together because you all like, for example, in this book, you all like running. And that is your common goal, is to win your track meets and stuff like that. But along the way, you build relationships and you become each other's sort of second family, and how important that is to have that sort of support system, and just the other things that you learn when you are part of a team or a club, besides like the sport or activity that you're trying to play or take part in, that you're learning that stuff, but then more importantly, you're learning about like teamwork and building bonds with people, and it's just really great. So hold on, I have to go let my dog in. So I think for middle grade readers, this is a great series because it's just about being part of a team and what that means, and it's more than just learning how to play a sport or whatever. And so yeah, this is a great series. I loved this. Like I said, this one was a 4-star, so I was happy that the 4th book was for me was better than the 3rd book. So, and then my battery's gonna die, so hopefully it doesn't cut me off. I'm about halfway through Shiny Broken Pieces, and it's going well. I just feel like it's very similar to the first book. There's the same 3 POVs. There is that overarching sort of story about, like, you know, there's a new ballet that they're getting ready to do, and who's gonna get the lead, and everyone's competing for that. In the first book, it was the Nutcracker. In this book, it's Swan Lake. Who's gonna get the lead? Da-da-da. And it's like the same stuff, like the backstabbing and the mean pranks and like that sort of stuff. And so it feels a little bit, it's falling a little flat for me because it's too similar to the first book. I wish that maybe this book had a different character, like POV or something. The only thing sort of holding it together is that at the very beginning of, or at the very end of the first book, there's a big cliffhanger mystery. And Morgan, what are you doing with Daddy's shoe? You're not supposed to have that. Anyway, so at the beginning or at the end of the first book, there's this like overarching sort of mystery, like, no. that leaves you hanging and you want to get the answers to, and you are getting that in the second book, and that's sort of what's keeping me interested. Otherwise, it's just like the first book, which is kind of boring. So I'm gonna keep listening. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna go upstairs. I have to clean my bathroom, and then I'm gonna play around with the bedding with my new linens and see what I can come up with, and if I like it or not, or if I have to go back to the store. I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. Alright, so I got my physical copy of Shiny Broken Pieces just in time to finish the book on audio. So I am happy though that I have the duology now in physical form on my shelves. And I'm going to go ahead and give this book a 3.5 star. I think that it had all of the things about the first book that I really enjoyed. There's a lot of like backstabbing and drama, and it's just sort of like popcorn. Like you just can't stop listening. And I think for me, part of that is because of the alternating POVs that you have. And I actually was very interested in all three of them, which is helpful in making you just want to keep listening. But like I think I said in the prior clip that I filmed, I do think this one also felt a little bit too similar to the first book. And though this one, because it's a duology and it is definitely like the last book, there was a little bit more of like a finality to the ending with the characters. And so you know pretty much, especially with our main three, where they are, or what, you know, basically their ending as far as the story goes. There was nothing left to the imagination. There was no cliffhanger. There was nothing. So it felt very complete. It just felt a little too similar to the first book, which I know is weird to say because like I just said, I enjoyed that it had all the same elements that the first book had, but I think what made it a little less enjoyable was that like the plot seemed like it was kind of the same and the characters were exactly the same. Like I said, though I enjoyed those three POVs very much, it would have been kind of cool, I think, to have a different person kind of pop in this one. But overall, if you are a fan of ballet and like that whole like ballet school sort of scenario, you should definitely check this out because it's good. And it seems like I've never really researched it, but it seems like Sona, I can never say her last name, Sona Charapotra and Danielle Clayton, it seems like, I don't know if they are both were dancers or former dancers, are dancers. If they are not, I feel like they really did their homework. Like I feel like when I was listening to it and stuff, some of the, you know, the phrases and things that they would use in terms of like the ballet terminology and stuff, it made sense. Because sometimes it doesn't when you're reading a book about ballet and it's clear that the author either was not a ballet dancer or didn't really do their homework. It's pretty obvious. This one though, I felt like it felt good to me. Like it felt like it was well researched or that they had experience in the ballet world. So yes, this one's a 3.5. I think I gave the first book a 4. So, you know, it was still enjoyable, just not quite for me what the first book was. So that means that for this series September, I completed 3 series, which was what I kind of wanted to do. That was my intent with this go around with series September, was I wanted to wrap up some series. And I did. So I completed, obviously, this one, the Tiny Pretty Things duology. That's what I'm just going to be calling it. I completed the Track series, which has been a series I've really enjoyed. And what was the other one? Like, what did I start this vlog with? The Warriors series, right? Well, the first Warriors series, which is called The Prophecy Begins. So all in all, I thought it was a pretty successful month. So let me know down below if you took part in Series September and what kinds of things did you do for it. Did you start a new series? Did you finish any series? Did you get caught up? I would love to know what you guys were doing. And I think that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this vlog, and I hope you guys had a good month, and I will talk with you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.